Being outside is good for us. It's that simple. And trails make it easy for us to walk, bike, and be active outside in our own backyards. On the trail, we see people moving, connecting with their communities, making the places where they live great. For 40 years, Rails to Trails Conservancy has led the way, creating trails across the country, making it safer and easier for everyone to get outside. They want you to get involved. Find your trail and start your journey today at railstotrails.org/iHeart and follow at Rails to Trails on social.
Hey now.
Oh yeah, look at my life. Hey now, yeah. Oh yeah, look at my life out here on the road. Oh yeah, look at my life. Hey now, yeah. Oh yeah, look at my life out here on the road.
Hey now! How you doing, friends? Hope you had a fantastic weekend. I did. I'm in Southern Ontario, and wow, was it ever gorgeous this weekend. I was outside. I watched both World Cup matches and the Blue Jays game outside on Saturday. It was amazing outside, and it's continuing now. We are into a bit of a heat wave this week, and hey, that's great. Hopefully you're on vacation. If you're not, let's keep talking about the grind. On this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about Canada's chief negotiator, Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, who got elected just over a year ago, with an impressive economic resume and a promise that he was the guy who could negotiate a win with the Americans. Well, stand by, my friends. Coming up on this episode, you're going to hear that master negotiator do his thing. You're going to hear what kind of deal Mark Carney can work out with Donald Trump. Hold on to your hats. That's going to be great. Also coming up on this episode... hold on a second, Prime Minister. Also coming up on this episode, I'm going to try and squeeze in a little bit of Pierre Poilievre and a little bit from President Donald Trump on the death of a very prominent American politician, Senator Lindsey Graham. There's something weird about him passing away when he did. There's also something weird about the thought that everybody thought the senator from Kentucky, Mitch McConnell, was dead. And now, lo and behold, he's popped out of the woodwork to say, I'm here. Something strange is going on in America with the politicians. But if I have time, I will circle back on that. Before I get things started, though, the World Cup is ready to go to the semifinals. Here we are. And it was, I'm going to say, fairly uneventful tournament in Toronto anyway. And that's my best point of reference because it's just down the street from where I am. In Toronto, we had some meh games. I mean, the big Portugal-Croatia game to end it off sent it out on a good note. It sent people out with some good feels like, oh, wow, this was great. Look at all the people. But the vast majority of the days that the World Cup has been on, there really hasn't been anything happening in Toronto. Now, the signs are up that say avoid Toronto because of the World Cup. Take transit if you have to go. But there's really not a lot going on. I'm really concerned about how much money we spent on this. And now a story is breaking today that the federal government, and you'll be shocked to hear this, apparently was handing out dozens and dozens of World Cup tickets to all kinds of people that are connected to them, not the least of which one of the interns who works in the office of the Parliamentary Secretary for Sport, Adam Van Couverden. Okay, I think we all assumed tickets that the government had access to were not going to go to regular people, but it's regular people who had to pay the bill for this thing, and I'm worried. They said it would be a big boom, yet hotel occupancy was actually down. When you look at the Moneris transactions, only up 3%. That's it, 3%. $83 million a game for 3% increase in debit card sales and Visa sales. Would that have happened anyway, even if the games were not being held in Toronto? I'm thinking people would have gone out. We could have organized some parties. I don't know that we necessarily needed to spend all that money. And part of the reason that I'm bringing that up is a follow-up to something I talked about on Friday during listener DMs when I talked about property taxes and municipal mayors. In Ontario, municipal elections are coming up in October. And I had a call this weekend with a mayor that, how can I put this? Because I am not going to say this person's name. This was an off-the-record conversation. But this mayor of a fairly major city, we're talking like million plus, I'm chatting with this mayor this weekend, and he said to me, Scott, I heard your podcast on Friday, and you got it all wrong. And he talked about all the new costs that municipalities have taken on, and so on and so forth. And I thought, I don't believe you. I don't believe this is a serious concern, because the last thing you do before you raise taxes on the people that are struggling in your community right now, you should be going through every line item in that budget. Tell all of the departments to do the same or more with less, and cut out every single cent of waste. But you guys didn't want to do that. You wanted to raise taxes year after year after year. That's why I am committed to it. This fall, fire them all. If you live somewhere where your property taxes have gone up, you've got to get rid of that mayor. There were other options. They could have saved money in other places. They didn't have to spend all that they spent. If they raised your taxes when you were struggling, keep in mind, even Mark Carney and Doug Ford and the rest of the premiers didn't do that, but your mayor did. That's why if they raised your taxes, they got to go. Get organized in your community. Find out who has the best shot at winning. Make sure they're committed to not increasing your taxes. And let's put an end to the sprawling property tax increases that have been happening across Canada, because it is sick. Now, back to the World Cup for a sec. It's cost a lot of money. Taxes are probably going to have to go up because we aren't making as much as we thought we would. So we just wasted a whole ton of money. Let's talk about the visitor experience. Great video that I came across this weekend. It is from a couple of American tourists who, if you listen to them, you will realize they're actually quite reasonable. They see what's going on in Canada-U.S. relations, but they want to talk about the state of Canada. Listen to this. It's about 2 minutes long.
Our time here in Vancouver is coming to an end, and we want to give you guys an honest review of what we thought of the city. It was rated as #1 by Sports Illustrated, which you Canadians made sure that we knew. But that was one writer. That was not a vote. That was one writer's opinion. So, game day experience, awesome. Very walkable city. Very good public transport. Beautiful, beautiful stadium. The people we have met, the police officers met, everyone was so kind. We didn't meet too many Canadians. We met a lot of Egyptians. We did meet some people at local restaurants. The sushi was fantastic. Thank you for the recommendations. But I think the thing that's going to stick with us the most is what you can see behind us.
Mm-hmm. And in front of us and all around us. That's why I'm kind of keeping my head on a swivel, because it is honestly like World War Z. That's not even a joke. It's like zombies walking all over the place, because we've seen so much fentanyl use here. We've seen people shooting up with needles. We've been seeing people smoke stuff. We've been seeing people snort stuff. We saw somebody outside a coffee shop yesterday where somebody had to check their pulse.
Literally someone we thought was dead. And this is not knocking Vancouver. We understand that this is everywhere, but unfortunately we didn't realize that this is what Chinatown was known for.
Yeah, that's where we booked our
That
Airbnb.
explains why the Airbnb was so cheap. So if you come to Vancouver for a match, do not stay in this area. We don't feel unsafe, but there is so much drug use, the most drug use I've ever seen in public. Mm-hmm. So I know you Canadians are going to say, well, you've got LA, you've got Philly. Yes, it's a worldwide problem, but it is in your face here, and the government does absolutely nothing about it. So
they almost encourage it, because they took the drugs back and then they sold it back to the community members
to make sure it's pure. So it's crazy. We're grateful we came to Vancouver. We're glad we saw it, but just know what you're getting into if you come to a match here.
And real quick, I just want to say we didn't need to set alarm clocks, because every morning at 6 a.m. we would be awoken by people screaming in the alley over drugs. Like that. I mean, it's like, that's a joke, but it's also sad.
Yeah.
Because it's.
I mean, it's like, look at this whole alleyway. Just tragic to see. So with that,
we're leaving Vancouver. We're going back to Dallas. We're catching another match. We'll
back
probably
to Dallas,
see more
to Dallas.
Yeah,
First match
right.
we're going to see there.
You're right. And again, this is sad. We're not making light of the situation. Homelessness seems to be an issue here. So does drug use.
So
it's prevalent.
We just hope you guys can figure out a solution.
Yeah.
I know it's not our country, but it's something that needs to be fixed.
Wow, right? Wow. That's the perception that regular, reasonable people who loved everything else about Canada, that's the impression that neutral outsiders are getting of our country. Rampant drug use and homelessness and poverty. That's the impression we're sending people off with. And they're telling other people, this is how you get a reputation. Man, we've got to fix these problems. We have to do something. It is just crazy how many Canadians are slipping through the cracks and struggling with addiction, and it doesn't seem like we're doing nearly enough to solve the problem. But anyway, that's not the point of this episode. I want to get to the Prime Minister. Over the weekend, it was announced that the Gordie Howe Bridge is going to open up on July the 27th. That is a bridge that is going to connect Windsor, Ontario, specifically the 401 in Windsor, Ontario, to Detroit. It's great. They need that. There's already a bridge, the Ambassador Bridge, and they've got a tunnel, but it's exceeding capacity. And especially to move all the trucks, they needed another bridge. Now, originally, when this deal was worked out, the deal was great. Canada was going to pay all of the costs of building the bridge. So the American taxpayers, they should be thrilled. They're getting a bridge. They didn't have to pay anything for it. So Canada is going to build the bridge. And because we're building the bridge, we're going to keep the toll money until the bridge is paid off. Doesn't that seem like a perfectly reasonable, common sense position that the Americans should love? They get a bridge and it costs them nothing. Canadians, we have to front the money at first. But we need this bridge just as bad as they do, and we'll recoup it, and we'll have a source of revenue because of the tolls that we're collecting when people cross the bridge. This should have been an easy one. We had this worked out. Stephen Harper worked out the deal. Well, now the bridge is ready to open, and Donald Trump wants a new deal. Now, I don't think that he should be entitled to a new deal in any way. He said he won't let it open unless we renegotiate. And for some reason, we took the bait and said, okay, let's renegotiate it. Well, now the deal has changed. Rather than the Americans get a free bridge, but we keep the tolls till the bridge is paid off, now the deal has changed greatly.
About the deal. First, I'm happy the bridge is going to be open. We need it. We need it because we're still expanding trade. Second thing is the word net does a lot of work in this. We are sharing after Canada is paid back. So we get the revenues, then the servicing of the costs of the bridge, and paying the debt of the bridge, and then what's left over, there's a split of that for 15 years. And the U.S. money is invested back in economic development in the region, the U.S. side of the region, obviously, which is going to help drive more traffic. The initial years of this bridge, there is, traffic volumes are going to build up, so there's not going to be a lot of net to split. So look, it's a good deal for Canada.
I love, and by the way, that was Prime Minister Mark Carney speaking to reporters yesterday at the Calgary Stampede. He went out there for the last day. So rather than a situation that we already had worked out, where the Americans got a free bridge out of this, Canada upfronted all the cost, but we keep the tolls, somehow Donald Trump managed to weasel his way into a new deal. Let me see if I can summarize this new deal for you. So again, Canada paid 100% of the cost of the bridge, $6.4 billion in construction, and we were going to keep 100% of the tolls till it was paid off. Under the new deal, the one that Mark Carney just said is a good deal for Canadians, Canada and the U.S. now split the net profits right down the middle. Split the net profits evenly. Net profit means 50-50 split after Canada subtracts the daily cost to run the bridge and pays off the construction debt. For the first 15 years, the money goes into a local development fund for the Windsor-Detroit region, but as the Prime Minister said, it will stay on the American side.
And the U.S. money is invested back in economic development in the region, the U.S. side of the region, obviously.
Yeah, obviously it should be invested in the U.S. side. Why? I don't know how we ended up in this place. I mean, that's the guy who said, I know how to deal with Donald Trump. I will get a win for Canada. That's what he said. He's been saying, they played it in commercials. I mean, it's not a secret that he thinks he can do that, or that he just straight up overestimated his ability to be able to deal with Donald Trump. I don't think we got a better deal than we had. We were keeping all the money. Now we're giving money to the Americans for some slush fund over in Detroit. What? Jesus. hang on. There's one more here from the Prime Minister.
So look, it's a good deal for Canada, and what's really good is getting the bridge done on time, on budget, and to build out together.
Yikes. Okay. It's a good deal, Canada. That's the guy that we thought was going to be the one to deal with Donald Trump. He says it's a good deal, so I guess we should just say it's a good deal. I guess we should.
Summer is here, which means we all want to look and feel our best. A GLP-1 may be right for you. Visit orderlymeds.com to learn more about which GLP-1 you could be eligible for. Getting started is fast, easy, and happens virtually through telemedicine from licensed professionals. Check it out for yourself. Go to orderlymeds.com/podcast. That's orderlymeds.com/podcast. Taking care of yourself feels great. Compounded medications are not FDA approved. Eligibility required and determined by a licensed provider. Individual results may vary. See website for details.
Let me move on. Shocking political news over the weekend when a very, very, very senior member of the U.S. government, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham from South Carolina, just dropped dead. He just got back from a trip to Ukraine. He got a call from President Trump and then dropped dead. If you're not sure who Senator Graham is, here is a little bit of him.
If you wanted an FBI investigation, you could have come to us. What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. You've said that, not me. You've got nothing to apologize for. When you see Sotomayor and Kagan, tell them that Lindsey said hello, because I voted for them. I would never do to them what you've done to this guy. This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics. And if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. Are you a gang rapist?
No.
I cannot imagine what you and your family have gone through. Boy, y'all want power. God, I hope you never get it. I hope the American people can see through this sham, that you knew about it and you held it. You had no intention of protecting Dr. Ford. None. She's as much of a victim as you are. God, I hate to say it because these have been my friends. But let me tell you, when it comes to this, you're looking for a fair process, you came to the wrong town at the wrong time, my friend.
That was a little bit of Senator Graham during the confirmation hearings of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. After the Liberals, the Democrats, same thing, after they launched a massive smear campaign against him to try and sway public opinion. And part of the reason they did that is because they did not want him to get confirmed. They wanted to leave a seat on the U.S. Supreme Court vacant because, of course, the president of the day appoints the Supreme Court justices. And they were just trying to hold out until Trump was gone and Biden could appoint a Supreme Court justice. Lindsey Graham trying to stand up for what's right. The honor of Brett Kavanaugh. And it's not for me to say whether or not he is or isn't an honorable man, but there's certainly a lot of evidence that they went real dirty trying to take power. Let me go to U.S. President Donald Trump. This is him earlier this morning on Fox and Friends talking about Lindsey Graham.
Yeah. We lost a great man. He was a great man. He was a great politician, and he was a kind man. And you know who really lost? Israel, Ukraine, a lot of countries that he really fought for. And they lost somebody who was very special. But the real loser was the United States of America. We lost a great person, a kind person, a very smart person, and a great, you know, they ask me sometimes, what do you think? He was a great politician. You know, we have mostly bad politicians. We have stupid politicians all over the place. This guy was a great politician. He really got it. And he was a nice guy. As you know very well, you interviewed him probably 500,000 times. I think he got more television time than anybody in history, right?
That's right. Such a remarkable...
Everything for him was about work. It was about loving the country. It was just not easy to do that. You know, when you do television, it's not that easy to get ready, be prepared. You got to look good. You got to do, you know, it's not that easy. A lot of people can't do it at all. A lot of people, when the camera goes on, they're terrible. I see it all the time. I watch people. Most people aren't very good. And he did it, and he did it with pride. And he did it because he loved our country.
That's a good way to sum it up. I've got a few clips from President Trump here, but I find a lot of people don't like hearing those. I get a lot of feedback every time I play Donald Trump. Stuff like I had to turn it off because I can't stand listening to that guy. And hey, that's fine. To each their own. I know he's a very polarizing individual, and it is what it is. I do want to try and fit this in, though. And again, I want to thank you for the time you've spent listening so far to this episode. Looks like I'm on track for a full week, 5 episodes, and there's all kinds of different things going on. If I didn't cover an issue that you think is important right now, I might just. There's so many things we've got to talk about. I have to think, as I look at what's happening with the mainstream media in Canada right now, and then I ask myself why. I have to think public opinion is starting to shift. I think people are starting to get very, very tired of Mark Carney and his inability to resolve this situation with the Americans. It seems like a lack of empathy with how the middle class are feeling in Canada right now. He doesn't seem to care or want to do anything about it. And the fact that a lot of the things that were very unpopular under Justin Trudeau, Mark Carney has kept. He got rid of the carbon tax. Great. But he kept the industrial carbon tax, and it went up. And people are feeling it at the gas pump right now. And I think slowly people are starting to come around. There's all kinds of different examples. I'll probably get to a lot of them this week. But here's the thing. When public sentiment starts to shift and the Liberals start to sense that they're in trouble, that they're losing the room, a couple of different things happen. A few polls will come out to say it's unbelievable how much support the Liberals have right now. Like clockwork, they will be able to produce a poll that says half the country thinks Mark Carney is the greatest thing ever. It always happens. The other thing that happens is the mainstream media starts getting very preoccupied with the Conservative Party of Canada. Just so we're clear, I can't think of any other country where the opposition party gets discussed more than the government. It just doesn't happen. Not even in America does it happen. But here in Canada, the mainstream media, funded by the Liberal government, seems very, very interested every time the Prime Minister has got a controversy brewing or public sentiment is starting to shift. They try and put the spotlight back on Pierre Poilievre leading the Conservative Party and try and create this weird thing that Conservatives are unhappy with Pierre and everybody wants him to go. So I want to play for you just a little bit of Friday's Power and Politics on the CBC. The guest is Bob Fife, now a retired journalist, and listen to him talking to David Cochrane about the Conservative Party on the main political show on the CBC. In prime time, by the way.
Look, I've been following Twitter or X now, as I'm sure all of you have, and lately I haven't really been all that interested in because it's a cesspool of.
Lately, it's been a cesspool. No, only now.
The last few years it's been a real cesspool. Yeah. But damn, it's interesting in front of us now. I mean, the Tories are throwing everything at each other. This party is falling apart before our very eyes, and they're delighted to spend time criticizing each other, smacking each other over the head, and it's not just over this issue. Yesterday, what's her first name for the Lewis?
Leslie Lewis and Michelle Rempel-Garner.
He came out criticizing the $13 billion AI investment in Alberta, which is, by the way, a huge big deal, and also electricity is, and it's a provincial deal, not a federal deal. And so Michelle Rempel-Garner, who is a Conservative MP, came out and attacked her. I mean, this whole thing is falling apart. Today, Conservatives are laughing at if you haven't watched it, go on X and look at the Poilievre hamburger tweet.
This is our mainstream media. This is what they're occupying airtime with. Sitting there, gaslighting each other, and then giggling about it like kids. Again, that was from the CBC, Power and Politics, Bob Fife, now a retired journalist who's getting paid to espouse his opinion there on the CBC. That was their perspective. There was nothing balanced about that. There was nothing reasonable about that. There was nothing on the screen that suggested you were listening to someone's opinion, not fact. But that just went off in prime time. It was long, too. They went on for a long time trying to undermine Pierre Poilievre. So let me put this out there. Let me just leave you with something for this episode.
You've heard all the economic hype about Mark Carney. So how about the results? Well, today Bloomberg reported that Carney has had the worst first year of growth for any PM since 1963. That was when we began keeping records. So it's the worst on record, worse than Justin Trudeau, Harper, Martin, Chrétien, Mulroney, Turner, Clark, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, and Pearson himself. Now, it is tempting to blame it all on today's global factors. But that excuse doesn't work either. All other G7 economies grew faster and more than here. They have the same tariffs, the same Trump, the same Iran war, yet their growth has been better and stronger. In fact, there was literally no growth in Carney's first year. The economy actually shrank, the only G7 country to do that. Continued high taxes, a growing industrial carbon tax, doubling the deficit. Rampant red tape, they're all blocking the growth in our economy and your paycheck. Meanwhile, you struggle to afford groceries, gas, and mortgage payments. More taxes, more costs, more debt, more of the same. All the hype was just an illusion. But not everyone is struggling. The liberal club of insiders and power brokers get carve-outs, handouts, and bailouts while you get taxes, debt, and inflation. Enough. We need an economy that works for you, with less government spending to bring down debt, inflation, and taxes, less red tape to unblock resources and affordable homes, more competition to bring wages up and prices down. That is what we're fighting for. So keep the hope, keep the fight, and keep on going.
There's a lot of problems in this country, and there is a plan to fix it. There is an alternative. When inevitably Canadians go to the polls again, people are going to have a very clear choice this time. You'll have the record of Mark Carney, or you'll have the promise of Pierre Poilievre. And I think, by and large, people generally want to get ahead. The middle class does, I know that. So, when I see the media spending as much time as they are trying to discredit Pierre Poilievre and blow up the Conservative Party of Canada, and I think about all the floor crossings and dirty things that have happened so far, it leads me to the same conclusion. Public sentiment is starting to shift. There was a point where people loved Justin Trudeau, and then they didn't. And it was a very quick transition. People went from love Trudeau to very quiet about Trudeau to they hate Justin Trudeau, he's got to go. Seems to be happening much faster with the current Prime Minister. I'll leave it at that for today, and friends, I'll catch you right back here with a new episode tomorrow of Scott Fox After 9.